It's where students discuss their views. It's Cat Chat, brought to you by Northwest Student Media.
We're coming to you live here on the second floor of the Student Union, and we're coming through your speakers on KZLX. You can catch Cat Chat on KNWT Channel 8 Monday through Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm your host, Joe Cornejo, and with me today we have three dope new panelists. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
How you doing? I'm Jordan Johnson. Thanks for coming out today.
How y'all doing? My name's Tony Todd.
I'm Will. How's it going?
Hey, I thought never been on the show before. Used to be a host, man. So.
Well, I did. It feels good to be a panelist again. Actually, be able to share all of my thoughts and what I'm saying, my feelings on topics and things like that. So yeah. I'm glad to be back.
Hey, we're glad to have you, man. Thank y'all for joining us. So we're gonna get things started today. Yesterday, Northwest brought a speaker on campus, a Black activist speaker and Black Lives Matter co-founder, Janaea Khan.
Yes, Janaea Khan.
Janaea Khan, and it was a good event, right? You went to the speaker?
Yes, I did. She was very thorough on all of the details as far as like what makes up the Black Lives Matter movement, and begin to explore some of the interests and some of the coalitions that they have begun to partner with in moving and educating people about the Black Lives Matter movement. We had a great turnout last night. I think she did a wonderful job answering questions and making sure that everybody got the opportunity to get their voice heard. I think the main point that she stressed last night was the fact that we need to raise awareness and have uncomfortable conversations about race. That race is no longer, it shouldn't be looked at as a controversial topic or a controversial discussion. It should be engaged in, just like talking about food. Like, where do you want to eat tonight? It should, like, where do you want, what type of people do you hang around, and how often do you notice, like, your own race? How often do you take in accountability someone else's race and background? Mm-hmm. And so I think she did a great job just covering a large variety of topics and giving a lot of people things to think about.
And prior to her coming, the Northwest Missourian posted an article on Facebook, hyping up her appearance, and it was met with, some criticism from people from the town, locals, saying, kind of disappointed Northwest would take this step and go in here, because, there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, what it represents. And do you think, this criticism kind of skews what people think of what the Black Lives Matter movement really represents?
I'm gonna let one of the other brothers, speak on it first, real quick.
Like this. Is it important to have these discussions despite the criticisms people may have about the situation at hand?
Obviously, yeah, I think so, because, I think it's time to make a change. There's been a lot of injustices and inequalities, things such like that's going on. And it's a lot of blind eye to it. Some people kind of push it all to the side and kind of act like it's not there when it's obviously out there on Front Street where everyone can see it, you know what I mean?
Mm. And you think just because people aren't experiencing themselves, they think it doesn't exist?
What'd you say?
So do you think that since people don't experience racism themselves, do you think to them it doesn't exist?
For sure.
And that's a very unfortunate reality too, that individuals believe just because they don't get that direct attention from receiving racism, or you're not in an environment often enough to where you hear people say racist comments or offensive things, that you just ignore it and believe that it's non-existent, that we have so-called moved past that. I think it's pretty sad that you are that closed off and closed-minded that you don't even want to explore the fact and what's really going on in the rest of the world, that you want to just focus on your own small local domestic issues.
Yeah.
So I think criticism is an opportunity for conversation. I think that individuals that actually are passionate about anything should accept criticism as only positive, because it's your opportunity to educate. It's your opportunity to grow someone else and better them as a person. Why allow someone to walk off in ignorance, because it is not bliss?
Yeah. But some people do like to think ignorance is bliss. If what you don't see isn't there. Yeah, and people think racism, they think in the 1960s and we're past that time. But are we really past that time? It may not be as violent as it once was, but are we really past it?
I don't think so.
I don't think we necessarily passed it. It's definitely evolved. Like people do. We have social media and the internet now that kind of it take its own character now.
It sheds more light on this.
It sheds more light. You even see it in different videos of stereotypes of different races and stuff like that. So to me, it's more so sensationalized now to a certain degree. But as far as us as a people, I feel like more so in the social aspect of us all gathering here today, you know what I'm saying, black and white people sitting next to each other. I mean, I feel like it's almost a behind closed door like issue more so people express that in their alone time, but I mean also in public, you know, areas too as well. But I just feel like it's always an evolving thing, and I mean, you know, people know right from wrong at the end of the day, so that's the way I view it.
And think about, when you speak of racism, it makes people very uncomfortable. That's why they don't want to talk about it. But do you think it's okay to feel uncomfortable about these situations when we talk about these kind of topics?
I think so, because me being me, I'm comfortable talking about whatever, because I'm very understanding, I guess. You know, I understand if you're different, understand if you don't like this or get this. You know, it's your life. You know, I don't necessarily judge you for it. I don't look at you differently. It's just I live and let live, to say the least. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think 100% uncomfortable. What causes change is uncomfortability. As long as you are comfortable where you are, you will never grow, you will never expand. And so it takes you to be uncomfortable to grow yourself. I think it is very important that, you know what I'm saying, as a society that prides themselves on being first class, that pride themselves on being models for the rest of the world, that for us to say that we don't do anything is a little bit a knock on our stature. I think that we should be able and comfortable to engage in multiple conversations, and no matter how diverse the conversation may become. Our country is made up of so many different ethnicities and cultures and backgrounds that for us to isolate ourselves or be closed-minded, I think it's more harmful than anything. I think it's definitely important to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. And do you think eventually we'll be able to have the conversations where people will understand what the Black Lives Matter movement really is all about? Because I feel like right now people let their passion and like their criticism of the movement skew what it really represents and what they're trying to achieve with this movement. Do you think we'll eventually come to the middle ground and understand like it's not what people think it is?
I thank God, and it's a blessing for the energy that these individuals that are a part of the Black Lives Matter movement have. It is truly a special gift to be able to face so much hate and criticism on the daily and still say, I'm going to go out and fight. That is an amazing, amazing thing to do. But at the same time, it has now been 3 years since the Black Lives Matter movement has become a thing and has been known. And so there's plenty of history, there's plenty of context out there that you can educate yourself. At this point, especially in our world, we got Google. There's no such thing as an unknown or unanswered question. You know what I'm saying? If you, oh my God, what is 2 + 2? If you're not knowing 2 + 2, that's your own fault. You know what I mean? Yes, you might not have been taught, you know what I'm saying, in school, but there is now so many resources that surround you. For you to be lost, it is your own fault. For anybody that says that I still don't understand Black Lives Matter, I think it's stupid, I don't understand the title, read. You know what I'm saying? You say that you stand for anything. If you don't actually know the background, then you don't stand for anything. You're just another mule following the crowd.
Yeah, just make sure you educate yourself. You know,
Exactly.
Like you said, we have the internet. We have all the resources we need. There's no reason for anybody to be ignorant on any subject at this point.
Exactly.
All right, guys, good topic so far. Good start to the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about Martellus Bennett and why he says stop comparing kids to the next Michael Jordan. Right here on Cat Chat.
It's Cat Chat, brought to you by Northwest Student Media.
And welcome back to Cat Chat. I am your host, Joe Cornejo. We recently were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and the speaker, Janae O'Connor, that came to the school yesterday. But today we're going to talk about something a little different. Same thing, but Martellus Bennett, tight end for the New England Patriots, recently won a Super Bowl, and he went on Twitter saying, you know, he doesn't appreciate how people always call kids from impoverished areas the next Michael Jordan, because he doesn't like that box he put people in, you know, saying like the only way you're going to make it out of this area, this struggle, is by being an athlete. He wants people to look at these kids much more. So he wants to build not a rec center for basketball or like stuff like that. He wants to build a rec center, like an arts center, an art area for coding, like computer coding, to show these kids, you know, there's other ways to make it out and make more money than just by being an athlete or being able to, you know, do a juke or a crossover. So he wants people to stop calling these kids the next Michael Jordan because of the box he's putting them in. And so do you guys agree with this message he's sending? Is there more, do you feel like they are kind of putting these kids in a box, like the only way you're gonna make it out of this area is by being a rapper or an athlete?
I think more so that is what's, you know, highlighted in the media as far as ways to make it out, but I feel like people got to remember some of the smartest people in the world that's done some of the most, crazy things, like, history changing stuff, like groundbreaking stuff came from impoverished areas. So I feel like people got to realize that it's more money to be made than just being an athlete, you know what I'm saying? So that also goes back to, what's their surroundings, what their parents are telling them, and their influences. I just feel like that comes back down to, a household thing, and also teaching kids that, it's more than just throwing a football, shooting a basketball, hitting a baseball, Everybody here, isn't doing that. So, it's a lot of things you can tell kids other than just that. And, highlighting that, and also educating them on people that have been from those areas, that have succeeded, and, people that's doing it right now. So I feel like you just got to educate people more on other than just basketball.
Yeah, and that's what he wants. He wants people to be looking at his kids and say, that's not the next Michael Jordan. That's the next president. That's the next, Steven Spielberg, the next Steve Jobs.
But it's also for a kid to recognize that in themselves. If they really want to play basketball, let them do what they want to do. It's dream. To me, it goes back to dreaming. Like, to a certain degree, you want to be compared to Michael Jordan to a certain degree.
Everybody wants to be like Mike.
Everybody wants to be like Mike. You know what I'm saying? So,
but there's always, you can always be more.
You can always be more, right?
Exactly. Right. I think the message is definitely positive. I think people more so admire Michael Jordan for his accomplishments to be great. I know personally, like studying like what it took for him to get to the level that he did. It took a lot of hard work and dedication. It took a lot of people to tell him he couldn't do it. Michael Jordan even got cut, his freshman year, and had to come back and try out. And so people they ignore that part of the story because it's not as pretty. And so when you think about impoverished people and those type of communities and areas, you think that because it's not as pretty that success cannot be breeded from there, but that's not true. It doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you apply hard work, dedication, have a goal, and be willing to trace that, and turn that goal into a dream, which is vision, which creates the blueprint for your life. As long as you're capable of doing that, anything is possible. Personally, looking at my own story, I did football all the way up through high school and transferred into track, and here I am, just chasing education, because I realized that the only thing that, a torn ligament or a muscle or a sprain can inhibit me from performing on the field or on the court, but my brain will always be functional to where I can be able to share my wisdom. I can be totally immobilized and still be a professor. And so knowledge is power that you will never be able to lose, and I think it is important that no matter where you're from, that you understand that you need to, always never allow anybody to put limitations on you or box you in and tell you what you're capable of. So.
Yeah, and he said, use athletes, use sports as a way to get out, but don't let that be your end goal. Don't just feel like when you go to college, like you're going to make it to the pros, like that's where your end game is. Because you go to like the NFL, you only guarantee like a good 5 years in the league before your body breaks down. And then if you go to school, then take it seriously because you're just going to the NFL, you're kind of, stuck in the middle of nowhere after you get hurt, you tore a ligament, or you're just not in the league no more. So it's like, where do you go from here? So he wants kids to, yes, use sports as a way to get out of here, but don't let it be your end game. Like, don't let this be, it's all it or nothing,
Right.
And Martellus Bennett, not only that though, but Martellus Bennett also made headlines again because after the Patriots won the Super Bowl, he makes sure he told the media, like, I'm not going to go to the White House, I'm not going to go visit because, frankly, I don't feel like I'm welcome there. And Devin McCourty, his teammate, also said the same thing, like, I'm not going to go to the White House either. And there's another player on the Patriots, I can't think of the name at the moment, who said he's going to decide when it's time to come, whether he's going to go. But, people are making this a big deal right now, but this isn't the first time an NFL player didn't go to the White House. Last time the Patriots won a Super Bowl, Tom Brady didn't go. And the only person that really made a big deal about it was Stephen A. Smith, saying, this is the first black president. You should probably show more respect to Barack. But, other than that, it wasn't that big of a deal. But these two, with the recent, Donald Trump, everybody has their own feelings about him.
Right.
So, some players say they're not going to go. Do you think this is really a big of a deal as people are making it out to be?
I think it is very important. I think it's as important as the Kaepernick thing, as far as taking the knee. If you don't stand for something, and you'll fall for anything. And so when I see a man, woman, or anybody in the field that is actually taking a stand and standing by their word, it's going to be hard. People are going to look at you and criticize you and belittle you and tell you that you're going against the social norm, and you are no longer going to be welcome to certain events and situations that, could so-called increase your status because you now stand for something that disagrees with them. I think it is very important to recognize, and it's a teaching moment for our culture, that yes, these men may be doing something that you may disagree with, but they didn't say, I disagree with everything that this man stands for, and I'm still gonna go shake his hand and pretend to be his best friend. That is not how you function. That is not how you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how you create leaders in the world. You know what I mean? You need honesty and you need trustworthiness. At the end of the day, he may not be able to express himself or articulate himself with words well enough to let and inform people to the point to where they understand why he's not going. He may not have that time. People may not want to listen. But I know at the end of the day that him just not going is enough. It's creating conversation and making people think. So I think that's what's mainly important.
What about you guys? How you feel about the situation?
I mean, I was going to say, he hit it dead on the spot, honestly. I was going to say, it's not enough people. I mean, he doesn't have to physically express with words how he feels exactly or why he doesn't want to. It's said enough with him just saying, you know, by him not going, you know.
Yeah, same thing they said. I mean, he's not the only person, you know, I guess in regards to Donald Trump being the president, protesting, you know, not supporting that whole, you know, Donald Trump and him being in office. So, like, it's a across the board thing. He's just another public figure for people to look at and say, oh, well, you know, he's not going, so.
Yeah, and, you know, people had their backlash about it because, you know, a lot of times when it comes to sports, people always like, you know, stick to sports. You're just an athlete, you know, stick to doing that. And Martellus Bennett, he's not trying to be that. He's like, I want to be more than just an athlete. I want to show you I'm an overall person, and I want to use my platform to, you know, share my message and my ideas.
And I mean, you got to think, too, they don't just only play football. I mean, they go out and interact with the youth, build houses, and do different charity work, and they have to do that stuff. So they're a role model in the community too. So I mean, they're also a public figure outside of a sports figure. You know what I'm saying? So
that's exactly my point. You know what I mean? Like, how are you out here preaching one thing, but then you're acting out another? I mean, this man he's aligning the two hands and like blessing for it, like for real. I mean, that's one thing that it's funny, you know what I'm saying, all the things that our nation went through as far as criticizing Donald Trump. This man said a whole bunch of ridiculous things, and everybody thought that he was going to do the opposite, and now we're surprised that he's following through with that plan. You're insane, not him.
Yeah, so just sticking by the gun, sticking by the message, and sticking by the platform.
Exactly.
All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk some more basketball right here on Cat Chat.
It's Cat Chat, brought to you by Northwest Student Media.
And welcome back to Cat Chat. And we've been talking about some serious topics here on the show so far, but we're going to line some things up with a little bit of basketball talk, a little NBA right now. So Joe Lacob, owner of the Warriors, was at an owner's dinner a little early in the week, and Michael Jordan was there, of course, owner of the Charlotte Hornets. And during the dinner, out of nowhere, Jordan just looks over to Joe Lacob and just says, you know, that 73 wins don't mean believe. I mean, I ain't gonna say it because, you know, we on the radio and whatnot. So, but, you know, insert, you know, the S word right there. Pretty much saying this season meant nothing. You broke the record, but it meant absolutely nothing. And Joe Lacob said he let it slide, but what are you really gonna do to Jordan at that point? You know, like. So my question to y'all is, if y'all were Joe Lacob, how would you respond to just that blatant Jordan comment, just out of nowhere?
I mean, I'd do as he did. I'd let it go, but internally, I just know that was simply just a hater remark by Jordan. I mean, that's tremendous. 73 wins in the season and only 9 losses, I believe. Right? You got to give credit where credit is due. It hadn't been done, I don't think, or it has been done only once, and if so, it's been decades since. So it was out of line for Jordan to say that. He was wrong, and he should have said that.
But, you know, Jordan's known for being very petty.
Yeah.
Like, in his Hall of Fame speech, he thanked the coach that cut him in high school because it made him the player he was, and kind of did, like, in a backhanded way. So Jordan's always going to be petty. But, you know, I thought it was just pretty funny. What about you guys? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, you know, like you said, it didn't mean nothing because he didn't get the ring. But, I mean, 73 wins that's amazing. But, I mean, still not better than the Cavs. So, not better than LeBron.
You know.
I get it. I mean, like they said, man, Jordan just being a hater. You know what I'm saying? At the same, he was a little salty because his record was broken. But at the same time, I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due, like my man said. Like that's an amazing feat.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. Especially, I mean, you looking at the class of player that we are comparing them to. You know what I mean? Where you were looking at a new breed that was coming around, and so of course, like if it was going to be a time to dominate, it was then. You know what I mean? So Jordan still hand clap, but you looking at, you know what I'm saying, the players you had to to get over, you know what I'm saying, this day and age, that's a major feat. So I just, personally, if it was me, I would have said, you know what, I got something to tell you. I'd have whispered into his ear, 73. And then I would have mailed him, you know what I'm saying, a little letters, like, for 73 days, just another one. Another one, you know what I'm saying?
For 73 days.
I'm telling you.
Lucky he didn't bring up 3-1, though. Like, I feel like if he brought 3-1, hands would have to be thrown.
Yeah.
You can't just let that slide. Yeah. But speaking of giving credit when credit's due, we got to talk about our Northwest basketball team for a second. Undefeated, holding it down. They just won again last night, smacked the competition. It's nothing new. But my question, y'all, is Northwest going to do the impossible? Are we going to have 2 undefeated national championship teams?
I mean, I don't want to speak too soon. You know, I mean, hopes are high. I mean, you can hope. You can only hope. You know what I mean? They had a good season. You can just hope that they keep the ball rolling with it, you know?
I personally believe that the possibilities are great. We've been seeing for several past couple of years that the team is really developing, becoming their own, and they are actually playing like it now. I mean, you see the natural flow, and they just kind of get into it. They're having a good time. They're running plays as if they're not. You know, it looks like street ball with, you know what I'm saying, a whole lot of skill and style. So, I mean, hats off to them, a major applause, and I hope that we can, you know, be able to celebrate 2 championships, you know what I'm saying, one year. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
I think they'll go undefeated. I'm just gonna be bold and say it. Pitts he's real good. The whole team is good, but he does some amazing stuff out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and say they're gonna do it. You know,
You got the claim coming on from
It's
Big
that
Willie?
time, man. It's that time, man.
It's that time. We're going undefeated. So, you know, this has been a slow build-up for the basketball team. You know, every year they've been getting a little bit better, you know, proving that, you know, they're building, they're getting there. They feel like they finally hit that level they've been striving to reach since I've been here, been a student here. What do you think this is going to say about the future and the prospects of the basketball going forward?
Honestly, man, I would personally believe this is all about building up the incoming freshmen and sophomores. Giving them the opportunity to shine, letting them know that they are capable of having these leadership roles. I think that was a major, having conversation with like Pitts, that's like a major role for him. Like you lead the basketball team, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they do well, you're like the star. When they do bad, you're like the first person to blame. And so like understanding like your role and your position on the team and just stepping into it like and still being able to play as like a good player. You're not allowing those outside comments and commentary to bother you, and you can still like get into a moment of flow. So I think it's just all about building up like the leaders that's coming like behind them.
And we have a new coach coming in next season. Think we'll be able to carry this momentum over to next season too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll be a hard transition, but I mean, I think the players, I mean, with the skill and talent that they got and the chemistry that they've already built, you know, no players are leaving. It's just the coach. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, like they said, and I mean a lot of the like coaching, in and out coaching goes to the assistant coaches anyway. So I feel like they maintain a couple of those and keep a couple of those dudes around, they'd be all right. You know, they're not losing their skill, just, you know, changing coaches.
Yeah.
Hopefully the game plan stays the same. So, yeah,
So
go Bearcats.
Future's looking bright for the Bearcats.
Yeah.
So before,
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was gonna say before, you know, we wrap up the show, I just want to get y'all thoughts on the Super Bowl game that took place this past Sunday. You know, 28-9 lead in the fourth quarter, blew it. We were talking about the Warriors earlier, 3-1.
Right.
Essentially a 3-1 in the NFL.
Right.
So what were your thoughts as you guys were watching this game take place in the fourth quarter?
I mean, personally, I think games like that, you know, they're staged, you know, they're kind of counterfeit at some point, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter because the Patriots won me $100. So.
You want money, it's a good day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's staged and counterfeit. I mean, we like to believe that because the Patriots win so much, even though they did cheat the Rams.
Thank you.
The first
I'll give
trip.
him that.
But yeah, no. I mean, it's just been a year of like upsets, like underdog. You know what I'm saying? Comeback stories. Like the Patriots, I guess they were never an underdog, but they went down by a lot. I mean, Cavs, you know, the Cubs, you know. We're not gonna say who else, but you get the gist.
And that's exactly why I say it's politics, man. You know what I mean? Like, when you take a dominant team and make them seem as if they the underdog in the game, bro, and then they just sweep like they normally do, cheating.
It's all hype.
Bro, they put in cheat codes and it was a wrap. That's all it was. You know
I
what
think
mean?
that's-
They
I
trying
think
to
that's
send Tom Brady
focus.
off and looking in the future. Next couple of years, that man gonna be trying to leave, retire. He gonna be like, oh, at least I got one more Super Bowl. They did that for him.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what I mean? That's what that was.
Real quick, before we wrap up the show, just real quick, let me know. When the fourth quarter started, were you doubting Tom Brady?
No, never, no.
I was not prepared for the libations that came following.
Okay. About you, Big Will?
No, it's Tom Brady. You know,
Right.
you can't. He's been there before. Like he didn't even look nervous, rattled. I don't even think he broke a sweat the whole game, even though he was down 28 to 9 at one point, or 28 to 0. So it's Tom Brady, Bill Belichick ain't break a sweat. You know, straight face, won the game.
Just waiting for the fourth quarter at that
5.
point. That's
he
all
got
it
a
was.
full hand now, so it is what it is.
All right, y'all, man. Good to have you guys on the show, man. Great
Thanks for
discussion.
having us.
Hopefully, you guys will come back sometime soon. But as for us, you can catch us on Cat Chat. We'll be at the same spot next week, second floor student union right here on Cat Chat.